So, what does gratitude have to do with limiting beliefs? When I was stuck 3 years ago, I remember the day when I was watching one of those stupid things back in the day of like, don't try this if you don't want your change or your life to completely change. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. I'm gonna try it. And then I remember thinking back a few months later, I was like, oh, dang it, that actually changed my life. And it was gratitude. So, in terms of gratitude, it wasn't your basic, like, what are you grateful for? Okay, cool, I'm going to do that for a few days and then give up on it. It was figure out what you're grateful for and why, and truly put yourself in the moment of that moment of gratitude. And in terms of why I think it works, is I think it gives us the opportunity to have something positive to think about rather than only the negatives. And when I was talking about gratitude, I also started saying things I'm grateful for about myself. So I'm grateful for my ability to get through hard challenges because I know I can rely on myself even when it feels like things are really hard. I know that I always find a solution and I pull through. Other things, I'm grateful for the way that I build super deep connections with my friends and family so that I can rely on them when I need them. They can rely on me back. And we have this deep bond where we don't see each other all the time, but we know that everything's solid all the time because we've set that foundation. And that was a part of my values, was to make sure that I take the time to build that with my people. I started being grateful for my small wins. There were days where it's like, well, today I didn't make that mistake over and over again, or oh, today I noticed that I did a little bit better at smiling today. So some days suck, let's be honest. Some days really suck. But there's always, in my opinion, you can disagree with me on this, but I'm going to encourage you to do it anyways. There's always one thing in our day that we can have as a positive. And now looking back, I can't remember the exact number, but it's for sure over 750 for sure. I can't remember the exact number. But that's how many days I've been practicing gratitude. At least one thing that I'm grateful for each and every day, and why. Most of the time, I stick to my typical 3. But the important piece here is to make sure this isn't just, okay, I have to go and sit and do gratitude because Ashley told me to, so here I am. Look, I'm doing what I was told to. It's really about putting yourself in that present moment. Because if you are truly putting yourself in a moment of gratitude, it is really hard to have negative thoughts. So if you're like, I'm really grateful for the way that I showed up for myself today and pushed through a difficult task, even though it was challenging. And then you go, but like, well, it wasn't that big of a task or whatever else. Like, that's not really being present in the gratitude. But if you truly just sit there and say that statement and just leave it. So if you hear yourself saying but, you're switching back to the negative. So pay attention to that because it negates everything that you said previously. So gratitude can be hard. And I remember the day when I was miserable. So I used to work shift work and I absolutely hated working at 7 in the morning because that meant I was up at like 4:35 in the morning and was having a horrible day, was over caffeinated, everything. And I remember, and I should give some context. I live in Canada. It snows like 5, 6 months out of the year. I hate snow. I really should move somewhere hot and sunny. But, anyways, I remember the way that the one day, on a horrible day, the snow was falling from the roof of the building and was catching the sun just ever so slightly as it was falling. And it looked like glitter snow outside. And I just absolutely loved that. Like, just so much joy over this stupid snow. Never liked snow. But it was one of those moments where I was truly in the present moment. I wasn't thinking about anything after that point. I was just focused on now. So use gratitude to savor the moments that you're in, or use it as a way to reflect on how many wonderful things happened in our day. And the reason why I love gratitude for limiting beliefs is because it just opens your world to every positive thing around you. Whether it's the interactions you had with a family member, whether it's things with your colleagues, just in life in general, and as humans and human behavior, it's really easy for us to pile on this negative happened and this and this and this and this and this. So if you're finding that in your relationships, everyone's just complaining all the time and ranting, I encourage you to bring that to your relationships. Whether it's your partner and you're like, hey, before we go to bed every single day, I want to know one thing that you're grateful for and why. And we're going to share and compare. Or if you have children, doing that as a supper time conversation. What is one happy thing in your day and what was one crappy, so that we can still vent about the bad things. But you have to have as many happies or more happies than crappies by the end of it, because then you're focusing on the gratitude piece. So if it was a happy, I want you to tell me why. Why was it a happy? If you're just doing it for yourself, journal and do it however you want. So when I first started gratitude, I was like, oh, cool. So someone told me I need to write 10 things I'm grateful for and why. And then I would waste so much time trying to come up with a list of 10. And it wasn't realistic at the time. I was working full time, I was in grad school full time, and just trying to live and have a social life and, all of the things that we're supposed to all have while we're balancing everything. And I was wasting so much time trying to come up with a stupid list, and it became a chore. And then I realized, no, you know what? I'm really intentional about 1 to 3 things that I'm grateful for each day. And I'm sure they're around somewhere, but I filled journals upon journals upon journals. And the reason I love the journal piece, or like writing in your phone, whatever it is going back to it and seeing how much that positivity has spread in your life over the time that you've practiced gratitude. So when I first started, I'm sure it was things like, I'm grateful for my friends and family. I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for food. But then it became like, I'm grateful that one of my best friends is just the most genuine, amazing human being. And I'm grateful that it literally brings tears to my eyes thinking about how wonderful she is. I'm grateful that I can have really hard conversations with my partner, and it feels like we're growing together every single day. So the more that you practice it, the more it gets easy. The less you think about it, because you've already built that structure and routine. So I'm going to encourage you, if you don't use daily gratitude, start doing it now. See how it'll change your life. Because I guarantee you, if you give yourself a good 30 plus days of practicing gratitude, your life will not look the same in 30 days. But it's up to you on how you truly embrace that. So whether you take on the challenge or not, make sure to check out the resource on our gratitude challenge and ways that you can adapt gratitude into your life. So that way, food for thought, when you're ready, take on that challenge.